Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday Night Live. If you don't know me, I'm Jeff, the youth and missions pastor here at Revision. I'm excited to be here with you tonight because there's something that's it's been on my heart the last couple of weeks, and I'm excited to share it with you. And now, I don't know if you know this, but a couple months ago, I got engaged to the most amazing girl in the world. She's so great. And because she's so great, I wanted to make the day that I proposed to her so great for her. And I'd been planning for a couple of months what I wanted to do, and I knew that I wanted to surprise her. Like, I've had a few friends who have done the scavenger hunt days where they send their girlfriends all over town to special places, and then they meet them at the end where they're just standing there at the end like, ta-da, and it's me, and they pop the question, and that's great, but it wasn't really my style. And I've also had some friends just keep it super simple. They find a bridge or a lake or something and just get right to it, on with their day, ask the question, and go on with it. And it's also an option. But I wasn't really feeling that either. All I knew is that I wanted it to be special. I wanted her to be surprised, and I wanted her to say yes. And so with the help of some amazing friends, we planned for weeks and weeks and came up with this plan. And if I was going to be successful at surprising her, I was going to have to be casual about the whole thing. Like, no nervous breathing. There's just no giving it away by asking her to block off an entire day or plan this fancy dinner or anything. Like, it had to be just a regular day. And so earlier in the week, I asked her, and so what should we do this week? Just super cash, you know. And she's a teacher and had conferences that week, and so we wouldn't really be seeing each other a lot. And so I said, well, how about on Friday we can just take it easy since you'll probably be tired from conferences. And then on Saturday, I don't know, maybe we could just see if someone from small group wants to hang out. Just off the cuff, off the top of my head. And she said, that sounds great. So I'm nailing it so far. And then Tuesday happened. Elise went to coffee with a friend who had a movie day planned with all of the girls from our small group, which, to be fair, she did plan before she knew about my engagement plan. But Elise wanted to go, and she was telling me all about it and how it would be such a fun time, and I'm just sitting there smiling and nodding, thinking to myself, like, this will not be a fun time, but we figured it out. Speed bump averted. I just had to have a friend coordinate some faking sick in their group text, and then everyone responds with a, oh no, bummer, feel better. And so that was fine. Like, we're back on track. Elise tells me the party is postponed, so I say, oh no, bummer. Guess you just have to hang out with me for another just regular Saturday. Classic. So the plan is set. Saturday is the day, February 29th, Leap Day. The setup is ready to go. The after party with like 50 of our closest friends and family, they're ready. And I'm just playing it super cool, acting my heart out and preparing for my Oscar. And Elise is none the wiser. And so the day it finally comes. We're set to have dinner with some friends, and that was the decoy. But then Saturday morning, since the weather was nice, I had our friends text Elise saying, hey, since it's so nice out, what if we walked around Jester Park before dinner? Which is that Jester Park. That's where it was going down. Super sneaky. And so I'm loving every minute of this. And she says, yep, sounds fun. Everything's going according to plan. That is, until everything started not going according to plan. Elise changed up her schedule for the day so that she would do all of her weekend errands on Saturday so that she could have all of Sunday free to relax, which makes sense. I'm totally on board with that. It was just a bummer of a day for her to decide that, because I got a text saying, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make the walk at Jester Park, but I can just meet you guys there wherever you're at, or probably just come for dinner when I'm all done. So I'm just like, yeah, cool. Yeah, it's totally a fine thing. In fact, that's a great idea, but hopefully it goes faster than you think it will, and you can still come on this walk at roughly but exactly 5 p.m., darling. Like, it'd be so great if you were there. I'd love walking with you, so you should be there. I don't know what I was saying, but I was just an internal mess of playing it cool and complete panic. But I'm getting a text from our friends who are setting up the proposal site, and they're taking pictures, and they're getting everything ready. Like, hey, Jeff, not trying to freak you out, but your plan is falling apart. And all I could think was, I did not see this coming. But all I could do, I could just wait and pray and hope. Like, I figured the worst case scenario, I just have to let the cat out of the bag. Be like, hey, can you just get in the car so I can take you somewhere? It's very important. It involves the rest of our lives, sacred covenants, stuff like that. Just take about 30 minutes. So can we just go? But I remember just praying, like, God, please just help me out here. Have these errands move just a little faster than she thinks. And two of her bigger errands for the day were to go to BioLife to donate plasma and then to get her nails done, which seems perfect, right? Like, what a day to get your nails done. The problem was she wasn't going to be done until after the proposal was supposed to happen. And there was like this specific window that we had for lighting, for pictures that we were trying to hit. It was this whole thing. And so I just prayed, please, God. And he answered. Like, because when Elise was at BioLife, I'll spare you the complete details, but they drew her blood and they forgot to clamp the tube in the transition process. And so it was just a bloodbath, blood everywhere. But anyways, because of that error, she was not able to do the full donation, left about an hour before she thought she was going to, which, thank you. And then her finger prick from when they test something at BioLife, it wouldn't stop bleeding if she took the Band-Aid off, and so she couldn't get her nails done either because it would be weird to bleed all over the nail person. So anyways, all of that to say, her plans changed and she was done way early. Like, thank you, God. And we were back on track. And so I pick her up and we made our way to the park to meet our friends for the walk. And I was still playing it super cool. But I remember turning the corner to where it was all going down and my heart just leaped out of my chest. It is rapid fire. And I'm sure I just went into like full blank stare, silence, panic mode. But I parked the car, we got out, we started walking to where our friends said they'd be. And then I just kind of pull off onto a different pathway about just different than where they said they were going to be. And about 20 feet away from the setup with cafe lights in the trees, a draping banner with the words, "Will you marry me?" on it, and a little table with a bunch of journals that I had been writing to her while we were dating. About 20 feet away, she finally realized what was happening. And she was completely surprised, which check. Then we walked over to the table and I read her the journal entry that I wrote that morning with everything that I wanted to say to her, because I knew that no matter how much I prepared, I would have forgotten every single word that I wanted to say. In fact, I've shaken so bad that I even screwed up the reading. But I got through it, I told her how much I loved her, and it was really, really special. Check. And then I grabbed the ring box, handcrafted by the one and only John Damastis, got down on my knee and asked if she would marry me, and you guys, she said yes. Check. And we all freaked out. Our friends who helped us set it all up, they popped out of the van that was powering the lights and screamed, "Congratulations!" And we laughed and we smiled and celebrated quick. But the night, it wasn't over. We got back in the car and we headed to the house that was packed with our closest friends and family to celebrate the engagement. It was just a crazy, awesome night. A whirlwind, to say the least. And it was so much fun to have like all of those people around us celebrating our engagement. Like, it really was amazing. And it's been crazy for me to think about just how much has happened in the last 2 months since then. Like, we basically had the last party that anyone was legally allowed to have. Since then, a global pandemic unlike anything we've ever seen before hits us, and just like with all of the unknown and uncertainty, the misinformation, this fear and anxiety, I don't know about you, but it's been affecting me. It's been kind of hard, like for me individually. It's weird not seeing people. It's weird adjusting to these new norms that seem to change and come at us almost weekly, sometimes on a daily basis, it seems like. Like, it's hard. And there isn't a book in the world that could have prepared us for how to deal with a global pandemic. And there's certainly not a book that talks about how to be engaged during a global pandemic. But we've all been forced to kind of figure out how to adjust to all of this together. And I don't know that I've been nailing it always. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that I haven't been nailing it. But this is what I've been realizing about myself. And this is what's kind of been on my heart lately, and what I wanted to share with you tonight. A couple weeks ago, I had this thought just run through my head, this line, I guess you'd say. It just said, "You don't seem very engaged." I was just thinking about, like, you don't seem very engaged. Now, please don't hear me wrong. I'm still very much engaged to be married, and I'm loving it. Elise and I were great. We love each other so much. But where I'm going with this is, I'm an information guy. I like to know as much as I can about something before I do it or as I do it. And so I've been reading all of these books and articles and listening to sermons and podcasts. And I've seen the word engagement just so much over and over and over again as it relates to marriage. But then I had this revelation that my engagement in terms of life and joy and the purpose that God has created me for, and the hobbies and things that used to fill me up that I can no longer do, my engagement in these areas, in my own individual and personal life, it was lacking. And I did not like that. the repeated Zoom calls, the fifth walk of the day, the next show up in the queue, the new recipe to try for dinner, the next stint of just plopping down on the couch. Or maybe for you, it's kids who are just going stir crazy and making you go crazy, and so you just send them outside for the week. And just all of this unknown about when this will be over is creating an anxiety in you that has you just slowly disengaging with the world around you. I know I've felt it. Like the new routine, it was missing a lot of the things that bring me joy. And rather than getting creative and finding new things, I got a little lazy and just started to disengage. Which makes it super fun to be around, right? Like, how was your day today? So, what did you do? Basically, the same thing I'm doing now every day. It's like, oh, we want to do something? We can't. Everything is closed. Should we rip our house apart and do every project that we've seen on Instagram? Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a house to do projects on, so maybe that's the missing piece. But what I've noticed more and more from just talking to people on the phone or on Zoom is that this new routine has left us feeling disengaged and a little confused, probably a little anxious too. But then I thought back to 2 months ago and just how much joy I had, how filled I was, and how engaged I was in life during the time of getting engaged to my future wife, which... killer rhyme. I hope you appreciated that. But I realized looking back that I was a lot more engaged in my life than I seem to be right now. And as I was thinking and praying, working through this tension of feeling more disengaged and lethargic about life, I was reading Bob Goff's book, Love Does. And there's this section where he reminded me that being engaged isn't just an event that happens when a guy gets down on one knee and puts a ring on his true love's finger. Like, being engaged is a way of doing life. Like a way of living and loving. It's about going to extremes and expressing the bright hope that life offers. The hope that makes us brave and expels darkness with light. And that's what I want my life to be all about. Like, full of abandon and whimsy and in love. I want to be engaged in life and with life. I enjoy all the parts of the Bible where Jesus talks about how much he loves his bride. And it makes me wonder too, like, while he was creating the world and all of its beauty, that maybe he did so with some just extra style, knowing that it would wow us. And I wonder if some of the things that we see as mundane, everyday things are just some of the quiet and audacious ways that God demonstrates his tremendous love for us. Now, I can't say that for sure, but what I can say, and I can say this with certainty, like the feeling that I had dropping down on one knee, or so some of what I see, like seeing some of my friends get engaged and get married and having families, their relationship with their bride, that like unfiltered, joyful, engaged, audacious love is some of the best evidence that I've found for the kind of love Jesus talked about. Like a love that never grows tired or is completely finished, finding ways to fully express itself. And I think that's the love that we're called to engage the world around us with. Like, I know it looks a lot different now than what it used to a couple months ago, but I don't think COVID is an excuse to disengage. But rather, it's this opportunity for us to put that love within us for the rest of the world to the test. For us to get creative and more fully engage. Like, I have this conviction in me that we're called to more than waiting this thing out. And that if we come up with ways to fully engage the world around us, we'll be able to live joyfully in the midst of crisis and point people towards that missing piece that so many people feel like they're missing during this time of disengagement. Like the never-ending, never tired, never failing, and completely fulfilling love of Jesus. And so, what's it going to take for you to get engaged?